This is my favorite dumb sim racing story. So, this is Tanner Gray. He is the 2018 NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series Pro Stock Champion. The guy won 8 races out of, I believe, 23 or 24 that season, becoming the youngest ever NHRA champion. So, of course, he was able to parlay that into a shot at the NASCAR ladder, and he's been hanging out in the NASCAR Truck Series for the past couple of years. Anyways, that's all the background info you need. This brings us up to last night. Someone on iRacing claimed to run into Tanner Gray in just a random iRacing practice session at Laguna Seca. There were a couple Spanish guys in the lobby talking in their native language, and Tanner was just being a goof and went full Team America World Police on the mic, impersonating a Middle Eastern accent before shouting Allah Akbar. The third party who was watching all this go down then immediately shadowplayed this 40-second clip, ran to Twitter, uploaded it, claimed Tanner Gray was being racist on the iRacing practice server, and then started tagging NASCAR, demanding them to send Tanner Gray to sensitivity training. Didn't take long at all for people to start retweeting it and for it to become a thing on Twitter last night. This gets really good. Tanner Gray puts out a statement on Twitter this morning where he's like, "Hey, y'all are kinda idiots. That wasn't even me, it was just a person with the same name as me. I haven't actually been on iRacing in close to 5 years," which says a lot. And when I did race in iRacing, it was under my mom's name. In fact, while I was racing at IRP a few weeks back, the account was actively racing in an iRacing session, which should have been a giant red flag that this was definitely not me. So, crisis averted? Not really. This is just the latest in a string of incidents on iRacing where the weird theater kids that have become increasingly prevalent on the game over the past couple of years will just follow around pro drivers on iRacing and hope to catch them doing something bad for Twitter clout. However, the demand for another Kyle Larson-style incident often outweighs the supply, and these people are instead left getting their knickers in a twist over literal non-issues. Darrell Wallace Jr., for example, quit out of a Bristol race in which he got wrecked out 3 times in 20 laps, which I would have quit too, and this was instead blown up by these types into claiming Wallace has attitude issues. Haley Deegan called an iRacing street stock race retarded because iRacing street stock races are retarded. This was blown up into a news story. Scott Speed wrecked a guy on iRacing. This is now a news story. Max Verstappen wrecked a guy on iRacing. This is now a news story. And now a person named Tanner Gray, who wasn't the Tanner Gray you're thinking of, did a Middle Eastern impression late at night on an iRacing server. This too, again, is now a news story. iRacing has now turned into following around the kid you don't like at recess time and then running across the playground to tell the teacher that Johnny said a bad word. How old are all of you guys again? So there are 2 things that we need to talk about that stem from the story. First of all, I don't advise continuing to do this. These pro drivers that it's an honor and a privilege to race with are going to stop sim racing completely if they become aware that sim racers are overly sensitive pussies and follow them around everywhere, shadow playing everything they do on the track and say over voice chat. Second, and what personally irritates me about this whole mess right now, these weird theater kid types seem to have their priorities completely screwed up. The attention and time these weird theater kids are using to blow up literal non-issues could have been directed at something significantly more important instead. The average person does not care that Haley Deegan used the word retard. The average person does not care that someone named Tanner Gray did a Team America World Police Middle Eastern terrorist impression on iRacing voice chat. Our entire generation grew up in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Do not pretend that any of this is new to you. By comparison, we had an iRacing streamer that was trying to lure little kids to his house. Nobody did anything about this for several years. We could have discovered that the guys behind NASCAR 21 Ignition were some sort of financial scheme before the game even came out. A female racer came forward saying, "Hey, this NHRA team owner offered me a ride in exchange for dumping my boyfriend and being his mistress. We should probably make an effort to figure out who this was." But no, let's just go follow around someone who's actually not Tanner Gray and try and get him cancelled on Twitter instead. In fact, let's not even verify that it's him. That's the most pressing issue right now. Someone found Team America World Police funny, and they had the same name as a NASCAR driver.
Bagala! Muhammad Jihad! La Durga Durga! Muhammad Jihad!